Hey everyone, it's Beth. Thanks for joining me again for another Rock and Talk. Let's go ahead and get started. Alright, welcome back to Reseller Rowboat. My name is Beth and I sell on eBay, Poshmark, and Shopify, and I live in Texas. And if you're new to my channel, hi, I hope you'll consider subscribing. Be sure you give this video a thumbs up and comment below if you'd like. Share this channel with other resellers. I would greatly appreciate it. So every Friday I recap my week and I talk about my eBay, Poshmark, and Shopify stores. And then at the end I give you a personal update. Also updates on YouTube, things like that. So we're going to go ahead and jump right in to eBay. So right now I am 0.3 down, 0.3% down from last month on eBay. And my 7-day total is $780.45. That's like the lowest it's been in forever. I like to have it between 1,000 and 1,200 on average. So I've got some work to do this weekend. I haven't had a lot of sales this week. It's been slow, but that's okay. I've been out of town. Haven't been able to put up a lot of fresh inventory. Been recirculating things back in. So maybe that's why. We'll see. So the first thing I want to talk about is neutral feedback. I had 2 neutral feedbacks removed this week by eBay. So I'm going to talk about both of those cases. Especially if you're a newer seller, you might run into something like this. I'll just let you know how I handled it. So when you look at my feedback page the other day, there's all this beautiful blue positive feedback, and then right towards the top there's this huge section of gray. 2 neutral feedbacks came in within 30 minutes of each other, and they each wrote about 2 paragraphs. So it looked horrible, and I knew that I didn't deserve them. And neutral feedback does not go against you. It does not take your percentage down, but it looks tacky. And also for you newer sellers, you need to know this, that if you want eBay to possibly remove any kind of feedback, do not reply to the feedback, because once you do that, they will definitely not remove it. And I had to sit on my hands for a day or so to keep myself from replying because I was just so pissed. So the first one was a guy in Miami, and I think there was a little bit of a language barrier. Even though eBay had an AI that was translating into Spanish and back into English, and I speak some Spanish, I don't really know if he was getting what I was saying or if he was just being stubborn. But he didn't receive his water reservoir, and it showed delivered. And on the USPS tracking, it said that it was left with an agent, with an individual. And I don't really know what that means, and he obviously didn't know either. So he's asking me why he hasn't gotten it, where it is, and what he should do. And so I gave my usual spiel. Take this message on the tracking up to your post office and ask them to figure out where your package is, because this is a postal issue, not an eBay issue. And then I said, and if that doesn't work, you can contact eBay, fully knowing that eBay's going to say the very same thing. Well, he didn't go down to his post office. He waited like a whole 5 minutes, and he opened up a item not received case. And so I went in there and I uploaded the tracking again, which sent him the same information, and I think that hacked him off. And he left this long neutral feedback telling me he doesn't know what to do. I'm not being very helpful. He's always ordered from eBay before. He's always got his packages and blah, 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 blah. So I had eBay call me, and just when I got her on the phone and I went to pull up my feedbacks to read to her, that one was gone. So I think what happened is once he opened up that case, that negative feedback went away. Or it was negative, it's neutral, because it showed delivered, and he really had no reason to leave that. But then I had the other feedback that I wanted her to look at, and I started this conversation by saying, I know eBay normally does not remove neutral feedback, but I want to tell you why I think it should be removed. And so this is the guy we talked about a couple of weeks ago. He ordered a floor brush from me. He knew that that was not his model. Twice in the listing, it said, if this is not your model, basically don't order it. Do a search on eBay for your model. This part will not fit. I messaged him. I told him this part will not fit your machine. He replies, it looks like it'll fit my machine. And I said again, if this is not your model number, it will not fit. On Sunday morning, when it was time for me to ship that evening, I messaged him and I said, please cancel this order. It's not going to fit. Well, he knew better than me, right? He never replied, so that evening I shipped it. So, of course, he gets the part. It doesn't fit. He leaves me a neutral feedback that said, I was wrong, you were right, the part does not fit. If you want me to send it back, I will. I don't expect a refund. Now, if he sends it back, I have to send him a refund. We talked about this a couple of weeks ago that if it did come back, I was going to see if I could withhold my return shipping because I have free returns. So while he was admitting that I was right all along, and the rep agreed with me and she said, absolutely, I will remove that negative feedback from you. So score, my feedback is back to blue again. I'm at 99.8%. I have a couple of negatives that need to be removed, but I'm going to probably have to wait quite a while before it's been a year. So I was happy with that. That's like one of the first times I've talked to eBay and they've answered my question in a way that I felt, was right for me. So I walked away from that conversation elated. All right, so let me see what else is. I got a list. I have 165 drafts in my draft bank, and about 20 of them don't have photos. So I will be doing that tomorrow. I will be taking photos and getting those in there. And we'll talk about why I have so many drafts in a few minutes. My hair is just, I've had a long day. Sorry, I know I don't look very refreshed. I'm exhausted. So let me see what was the next thing. Okay, so Monday, in addition to having a flat tire, and we'll talk about that, I parted out 5 vacuum cleaners. Okay, now I had 6, but my dad decided he wanted one. So we go to my trunk, open the trunk, and he's like, wow, I've got 6 vacuum cleaners to choose from. And I'm like, no, Dad, I'm going to pick which vacuum cleaner you get. So I had 2 of them that I'd already sold before. The parts have been selling nicely. So I was like, I don't want to give him those 2 because I know these will sell. But then the other 4 were open box. And I was like, but I never sold them before. So one of the ones that I'd sold before was used. So I chose to give him the used one. Now, it was in very good condition. It had very little dust in it. I plugged it in, show him how to work it. He doesn't have to bend over anymore. He's happy. So now I'm down to 5 vacuum cleaners. Callie, do you need to go out? Do you need to go out? Hold on just a second. I think my dog wants to go out. Hold on just a second. Okay, great. They gave me a second to take a drink. So being the organized person that I think I am, I was like, okay, I'm going to part out 5 vacuum cleaners in one day. This is going to be easy. So I had 5 vacuum cleaners stacked up in the boxes in the dining room, and I wanted to get those boxes out of the dining room. They just look pitiful. So Sunday night, I opened each box individually. I went through them. I had a big yellow legal pad. I wrote down every single piece I had, close the box, get the next box. I did that for 5. So I had about 60 pieces. Then when I went to bed, I was like, okay, I'm going to look all these up. I looked them all up, decided how much I wanted to ask for each of them. And then I'm like, okay, no problem. I'm just going to draft these, right? Well, it went a little slower than I thought, and it got to be midnight, and I had only drafted 3. So I'm like, no problem. I'm going to go to sleep. I'm going to get up, and tomorrow I can draft the other 2. It's not going to be a problem, right? Well, like I said, I had a flat tire that day, so it kind of put me behind. So after I come home after the flat tire, waiting for roadside assistance and everything, I started. Guys, it took me all day. And that was eating at my desk. I think I took one bathroom break. Janie and I pride ourselves on finishing work every day at 5 o'clock. 5 o'clock, we both close our computers. I feed the dog. I make dinner. We watch TV. And I don't open my computer again until I go to bed. And, I listen to podcasts, cross lists, that kind of thing. So I start doing this. Well, I had to do them one at a time. Normally, I might have 3 machines, and I put them all in the dishwasher, take them out. I take pictures of all of them, and then I put them in a big tub, and I go sit down on my desk and pow, pow, pow. I've knocked them out. Well, you can't do that when you've got 5 vacuum cleaners that almost all look alike. I mean, the dust cups are clear, and the filters are the same, and the floor brushes look the same. They're just different colors, and the battery pack, and you got to take a picture of the battery charging, and then you got to put the safety stickers on. And I was just like, so I had to do one at a time. So take pictures, come to the desk, load them onto my computer. After the second one, I got smart and made a folder for each model. And then I had to load them and make the label, and then put them in my tub. And about noon, well, it was afternoon. It was after I ate. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this, And so what that taught me was, and I really had to do that in this case because I didn't want to get the pieces messed up, but I'm not able to do a few at a time. Like when I do my clothing, I might take pictures of 30 or 40 pieces of clothing before I load them into my computer. It doesn't take that long to load. Maybe if I airdropped, I could go one by one, but I don't do airdropping. And so I'm used to having all the pictures taken and then just sit there and just drop the photos in and, save them. And this really threw me off. Like I could have listed probably 60 pieces of clothing. Like the other day, last week, I listed 60 pairs of earrings in about 3.5 hours. So I just took all the pictures, loaded the pictures, put them in there like it was nothing. So it was a real accomplishment. And that was Monday, and I still don't have all the pieces put in the inventory room. So I'm curious if these are going to start selling, and I'm hoping that these brands sell. I'm taking a chance. It's been about $210. Well, I gave my dad one. I think I paid $30 for that one. So we're going to go like what, $180 I spent for these. I'm hoping to make about $400, $500 profit on these or more. The problem is I have about 9 of the main motors. They're huge. And I ended up putting them in a tub, and they're going to be long tail. That's the problem, is these motors. And I'm thinking about maybe discounting them more and just to get rid of them because they're taking up so much room. I think I have sold a motor in the past, but if they sit in my hot garage in Texas too long, I'm afraid something's going to happen to them and they're not going to work. And so the battery almost always sells first, and then I won't have the battery to see if it works. So kind of got myself in a pickle. But anyway, I felt accomplished. 5 done. I have no appliances left to part out, and I'm going to cool it right now in the flea market until some of these start selling. I told y'all last time I had 3 machines that I parted out. One started selling today, so that was good. I got those at Goodwill. It's a food processor. All right. Okay. That was eBay. I really don't have anything else to say about eBay other than I hope my sales get better this weekend. Okay, Poshmark. Oh, this is going to be a rant. Sorry. If you don't like rants, you might want to fast forward to Shopify. So I think this month total, I have netted about $200. Okay, 3 or 4 years ago, I was netting about $1,000 a month. About 200, guys. It's bad. And I've been doing everything I'm supposed to do. Listing, cross-posting, sharing, all that. So I did since I didn't have any more of my store to put on to Shopify, I have more time. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to go back and try silent auctions again. So I have SIDEKICK tools. There's a referral code down below if you want to try it. So I started scheduling silent auctions to see if maybe it would up my sales. And I have had about 5 sales this week, which is more than I've had in a long time per week. So maybe people are going over to my store from the silent auctions. I'm not making the sales in the silent auctions, okay? So one of them I had to cancel. You know why? Can you guess why? We've been talking about this. Last month I was suspended for this, right? I was suspended from Poshmark for delisting too many items. Now they don't tell you how many items you can or cannot delist a day. They just say you need to space your delisting out. Well, 5 a day, 10, I don't know. And so normally before I got suspended, anytime I got an eBay sale, I went straight over to Poshmark. It didn't matter where I was. I took it off of Poshmark. And, you know, just so I wouldn't forget, right? And it wouldn't sell. But ever since I've been suspended and I've got that bad taste in my mouth and I'm still a little angry, now when something's selling on eBay, I'm like, oh, I'll take it off Poshmark tonight. Or I'll wait till tomorrow and I'll take all my eBay sales from today off, right? What does it matter? They don't want me to do it anyway. And if I don't have it, I'll cancel it. Well, sold a pair of capri jeans, already sold on eBay, had not been taken off Poshmark yet. Canceled it for out of stock, which is what you're supposed to do. Get the little message, don't sell things you don't have. Next day, buyer says, why was this canceled? And so here's where Beth gets her snark on. I don't care. I really don't care. I said, the sale was canceled because I sold this pair of jeans on another platform. And I said, Poshmark is suspending sellers for taking items off their platform that are sold on other platforms. And then I said, Poshmark support, comma. This is why your new rule is ridiculous. It's unfair to buyers and sellers. And the buyer replied, well, that's a bummer. Yeah, it is. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm not rushing over to Poshmark to take things down because if I do, and I do too many a day, I'm going to get suspended again. By the way, if you've gotten a warning from Poshmark or you've been suspended, go back a couple of videos. It's in the thumbnail. I know how to get you unsuspended. There's a link in the description. Send the letter in. Poshmark will unsuspend you. I'm thinking another suspension is coming for me because I'm doing the exact same thing that I did before I was suspended. So, I don't know. It's made me think when I look at that $200 sitting there waiting to transfer to my bank. Is it really worth it? Is it really worth it, all the cross-listing that I'm doing? The scheduling of the silent auctions? The hassle of telling someone that their order cannot be filled because I sold it somewhere else? Makes me look like an idiot. I don't know. I'm getting to that point. If I get suspended a second time, I think what I'm going to do is just not put anything else new up and just sell what I have. For those of you who haven't watched me before, maybe you're new to Poshmark, you might be asking yourself, well, Beth, why don't you just mark it not for sale? I could do that. I could definitely do that. I've done that years ago when I first started at Poshmark, but I learned this the hard way. If I mark that pair of jeans not for sale, and then when I go on my trip in October, I put my Poshmark Closet on vacation, it changes everything to not for sale. And then when I come back from my trip and take the vacation mode off, everything else that's not sold goes back to available. All right, for sale. So then I'm going to have hundreds of items that I've marked not for sale because I've sold somewhere else that are now available. And I can't keep track of that. There's no freaking way. I have like 3,000 items on Poshmark. So that's why. And I'm very unhappy right now about it. And I know I shouldn't be giving it space in my head, but I am really getting to the point right now where it's looking like I may not continue adding things to Poshmark. And I was talking to a friend the other day, and she's like, well, Beth, it is a little extra money. I mean, you never know. Poshmark could turn your closet back on. They could go back to their old algorithm. And that's true. And that's a risk I would take if I didn't add any more things. But it's a hassle to me. It's just a hassle. I sit there and cross list and cross list and cross list every night. For what? You know? I don't get it. I'm doing everything they tell me to do. So that's my rant. Anyway, I have had 5 sales this week, and I missed an offer. I tried to go back and accept it, and it expired an hour ago. So I've been out of town, and we're going to talk about that. So first, let's get to Shopify, and then I'll tell you what's going on in my life, and maybe you can comment below what's going on in your life. So no sales still. We are at 2.5 months of being open. I promise you guys, the first time I get a sale, it's going to be posted on my YouTube community post. I'm saying when, not if. When I get that first sale, I'm going to be going, wow, okay, somebody found me. How did they find me? Now let's get to work. Let's double up, triple up on what I'm doing. And that's what, that's what I'm hoping for. All right. I'm going to be able to talk to a friend soon about Shopify, which I'm thrilled with, and hopefully she can give me some ideas. I'm still looking for someone to collaborate with me on YouTube, maybe once a week, showing our hauls and sending people over to our stores. So if you know anyone interested, please let them know I'm interested. Have another way you might be able to help me out. I might forget about it, but maybe not. Let me go ahead and get to that. Okay. Emery boards. Emery boards came in. This may be a little bit long. Okay, are you ready? Let me put my cup down. Are you ready for the big reveal? Sorry about my nails. I need to have them redone. There's the emery board. I don't know if you can see it. It's probably a little blurry. It's got my logo on one side, and then it says tenofheartstore.com plus size fashion for less. Okay, I'm going to hold this up to my finger. And not only that, I'm going to hold it up to the width of my finger. I mean, I don't have really fat fingers. Look how tiny this is. This is a tiny, I'm not talking about long. Like, I knew it wasn't going to be long because I have many emery boards in my purse, but look how skinny it is. This is like a microscopic emery board. I gave it to Janya when the box came. It was this little bitty box, and it said 1,000 on it. Now, it came 5 days earlier than they told me it would come, so I was happy about that. Okay, bravo to you guys, Rush Imprint. But I'm like, how can 1,000 emery boards be in that little box, Janya? And she's like, I don't know. So I gave her this emery board. I mean, they're just all thrown in there, and she can't read it. She had to put her glasses on to read it. Okay, this thing is tiny. Skinny. I'm not talking about the length. I'm talking about the width. Now, did they have, it's even tinier than my hand. Did they have the measurements in the listing? Yes, they did. And I knew how long it was. Didn't comprehend the height, because I'm assuming, like it's all many emery boards that I've ever seen, it's about the height of a regular emery board, just shorter. Okay. So I started thinking, man, did I make a freaking mistake on these promotional items? Like, I spent 23 cents a piece plus shipping plus $50 setup fee. That was over $300. So when I went to work today, there were 2 ladies in the back at one of the law firms, and I gave them an emery board, and I said, now, try to read this to me. Well, the first one, she was wearing contacts, and I said, can you read it? And she said, well, I can't read the logo, it's the red part. I can't read that. It says, I'm not sure I can read it either. 10 of hearts, great deals, great service. And the only reason I can read it is I know what it says. She says, but I can read 10ofheartstore.com because it's in white. And she says, I can read the plus size fashion for less. And I'm like, okay. So then I take it over to the other girl. Now she's younger, so her eyesight should be better, but she wears glasses. And so I said, can you read that? And she goes, oh yeah, I can read it. I said, take your glasses off. So she took her glasses off and she says, I can still read it. And I'm like, oh. So I'm thinking, and I'm going to let y'all let me know what you think. Should I keep buying these little teeny tiny, like these are going to get lost. They're like dwarfs. These are going to get lost, I think. I don't know. I've been putting them inside the plastic bags. Not in the poly mailer, but actually in with the clothing in the plastic bag so they don't get lost in the poly mailer. Okay, I was actually going to stop buying business cards because this is basically what my business card says, okay? Why pay for business cards when this is basically like my business card? But I think for right now, I'm going to keep using my business cards and this, and my hang tags. It's kind of overload. But I know the hang tags and business cards are being thrown away. So my option is to keep this, get rid of the business card, or pay a little bit more, or quite a bit more, 30 to 35 cents a piece for longer ones, bigger ones. Normal, original emery boards. Now, I'll tell you why I'm thinking about doing that. Now, I paid the 23 cents. I paid small because they were the only people I could find that had them, for one thing, that were cheap enough. To get 11 cents, I had to order 250,000 of them on a different website. But the reason was I was trying this out. Like, this is just as an experiment, right? And so I didn't want to pay 35 cents for emery boards if I didn't think I was getting some hits. But let me tell you what happened. I was going to do Facebook ads. Y'all know I got my Facebook back. So I went over to my Facebook ad account and somebody had hacked it. They used their credit card and made an ad. And I don't know how that works because it wasn't on my page. So can't give ads. So I had to report them. And then I had to send in my driver's license again. I remember sending it in 4 or 5 years ago because they only keep your driver's license for a year. And now they have disabled my ad account, not my Facebook. I don't know if they're reviewing my driver's license. I mean, I sent it in like over a week ago. I don't know. So for right now, I can't place Facebook ads. So I thought, well, if I was placing Facebook ads, it probably would cost me as much or more as longer emery boards. And I might not even get one sale. So I'm going to start researching larger emery boards. And I might go with this company. I just need to remember that they're not fast and that I would have to, order them way ahead of time. They sent me the tracking information. It said, your item has been delivered. Here's the tracking information. I'm like, you send somebody the tracking information when it's shipped so they can anticipate when it's going to get there, right? I'm waiting for some candy right now to be delivered to my dad's house via Amazon. And I'm watching it constantly because it says it's out for delivery. That's why you have a tracking number. You don't send it after it's delivered, but oh well. So I have a couple of issues with this company. But I'm going to go ahead and check out one more time if I can afford it. Next time I will maybe order the big. Y'all tell me what you think below. I mean, am I being picky? Like these are just, this is like goes the size of my nose. And I don't even have, this is so tiny. I can't believe how tiny it is. I've never seen such a thing. I've never seen this. So, but I did learn something about ads, and I should have already known this because I do YouTube. I read somewhere on Reddit that when you create an ad on Facebook or Google or wherever, you need to have a hook that needs to be like your first 10 seconds. And, I try to do that on YouTube, and I'm like, duh. Well, I've made a hook now on my reels that I'm putting out on Instagram and TikTok, which I have no views still on TikTok, and YouTube and Facebook. I am now starting my reel with a problem that my customer will have, and then I say immediately, I can help you with that. Okay, so the problem right now is, what do you think the problem is with most consumers today in 2025? Pause this video for a second and think, but I think you're going to probably figure it out. It's money. Okay, everybody is really strapped for money right now. I mean, I don't think it's not a political thing. It's just the truth. Okay, if they're not, it's not so much that they don't have money, but they put things like wants on the back burner, like clothing, unless it's some clothing they actually need, right? They're paying food, rent, utilities, So the problem is their budget is small. So I start out by saying, are you on a very small budget right now? Or, I know you're on a very small budget right now. I can help you with that. That's one of them. And I say it in different ways. And then after I say I can help you with that, then I start showing. You can see the reels. You can go see them. Then I have another one where I'm saying, did you gain a few pounds recently? Or maybe you lost a few pounds recently and you need to replace some of your wardrobe, but your budget's tight. I can help you with that. So that's what I've been doing, and we'll see if it'll keep the person from clicking off the video, and maybe they'll stick with it. I've only uploaded a couple of those so far, so that's my new strategy for that. And I'm just going to keep going. I'm trying to come up with other ideas. Another idea I had, and some of you who watch me are like personal friends of mine, okay, that like you have my phone number. If you don't sell plus size clothes and I'm not one of your competitors, if you would be willing to pass these out to people who might be extra large and up, I will mail you 10 or 20 of these. All you have to do is let me know. And I have a couple people in the local area that I've given a few to and said, hey, if you see anybody that who might, know some, use this, give it to them, but that's another thing I could do. Barry, if you're watching, you could give one of these to all of your girlfriends, but maybe your girlfriends are all skinny minis. I haven't met any of them yet. So anyway, that's another idea. You could help me with that. Just let me know. Let me make sure I've okay, I got everything done for Shopify. So we're going to go into personal update. So I had my car in the shop a couple weeks ago. I had a problem. They fixed it, but then they did like a 6-point inspection. They did an oil change. They changed the battery. They fixed a leak in the coolant that I didn't know about, and I got it back. And Monday I'm sitting at the bank talking to somebody, and my check engine light comes on, and I was freaking out. And I'm just like, why? So I called the guy at my dealership that, took care of me, and he goes, well, as long as it's not blinking, you can drive on it. And I explained to him my situation with my parents, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. And I said, I need a rental car. Like, I cannot keep my car again for over a week like last time. I got to have a car. And he said, well, the next time we have a rental car available is next Wednesday. So this was Monday. And so I've got to wait till next Wednesday to get a rental car and drop my car off. So I am driving Jania's car around, and I'm driving her car to my parents, which is an hour away. I'm going back and forth to my parents, it seems like constantly. And then Monday I have to go to the thrift store. Now, some of you know I've talked about this before. It's in a very high crime area. People have been shot in that parking lot. Last year, I myself had a sexual encounter with a man in the parking lot, which started on my panic attacks in the store. And so I don't feel comfortable taking Jania's car there because she has like a sports car, and it's going to end up getting broken into. So I am going to drive my car there Monday. I figure if something goes wrong, I can get a tow truck, but I don't want to stall on the freeway going out of town to my parents. So Tuesday, I got to take Callie to the groomer. It's just right around the corner. And then Wednesday, I get my rental car. It goes back up to my parents. So little peeved. I'm hoping we don't have to pay for this. My warranty was up on the 9th, which is why I took it in before the 9th. So good thoughts would be appreciated. The guy said it sounds like it could just be a sensor that's off, but I don't want to pay for it. I don't want to pay for it. They just saw it. They just saw this car. Okay, let's talk about my mom. So my mom's surgery went very well. I went Wednesday, took her to the surgery. She had a hole replaced in her retina. Took her home, got her something to eat, got her situated. I think she understands what she's supposed to do, right? So I spent the night, got up at 5:30, took her out of town. She had to go to a follow-up out of town because the doctor's office is kind of out of town. Drove her there for the follow-up. They took the patch off, gave her a prescription. So she's got like 4 different eye drops to put in, and they have to be taken 5 minutes away from each other, which is kind of tricky, 4 times a day. This is a lot for anybody, but when you're in your mid-80s, this is a lot, right? Keep your head down for continuously for 3 days. It's an experience. And now I find out she's got to go back next week for another follow-up. So I'm going to go back, spend the night, take her to the follow-up the next morning, and come home. Luckily this week there was a Juneteenth holiday on Thursday, so I didn't have to rush home to ship, but I am going to have to do that this Thursday. So thank you so much, everybody who knew about it, that gave my mom good thoughts and prayers. Seems to be healing nicely, and she's just having a hard time keeping her head down. Hoping to swim tomorrow. We had too much rain last week. The water was too cold. I wasn't here half the time. The rule in our house is you may not swim alone. So if I'm not here, Jania's not supposed to be in the pool. And the same, if she's not here, I'm not supposed to be in the pool. And I think that's a good rule. Okay. My eye is much better. In fact, I'm wearing makeup today for probably the first time in a couple of weeks, I think. So I did have a really bad infection, and I got 2 antibiotics and took those, and I think I took my last antibiotic last night. So it seems to be fine. My doctor says that I will need to use hot compresses every day for 10 minutes for the rest of my life if I don't want these to come back. So he attributed this not to stress, not to eye strain, but to large oil glands. And I said, well, have I always had large oil glands? And he said, probably not. That could be an aging thing. And so just to keep it flowing, you need to put warm compresses on. Any excuse to wear my mask, my heated mask that I showed you last time, is great for me. I love the lavender ones. Okay, so the future of YouTube for me is that StreamYard has not been helpful at all on my Ten of Hearts store YouTube channel. It's linked below. I'd appreciate if you go over and just subscribe and hit the notification bell. All I'm getting is the same answers, and they don't know what's wrong. They don't know why I can't connect. I may try one more thing that I learned about, but if that doesn't work, then what I'm going to do is, or what I may do is either just get rid of that channel and just do my hauls on the channel here, or I may use EV Mux and do the channel over there and record it and then upload it to this channel as well. The thing about it is I don't want Reseller Rowboat to be, if I'm going to have that channel for my customers, I don't want Reseller Rowboat up there anywhere, because I don't want them to come over here and listen to me talking about customers. Like, that's not cool. So I've got to figure that out. And that's got to be after I go do all this medical stuff with my parents. And then the next week I may be going to Austin for a couple of days to see my daughter. So when all that calms down, I'll figure it out. So that's why I didn't have a haul last week. I've already started processing the haul. and no haul coming anytime soon. I hate that because, guys, I've gotten some awesome stuff. If you'll watch the reels, though, you'll see some of the highlights. Okay, so I'm going to try to remember to put it up on the screen right now. My next thing I want to do, and it's not so much for views, but I've always liked to use this channel to document my journey, is I want to do some serious reseller vlogging. And I watch a guy named Teo. He lives in a van and he travels all over the country, and he has this awesome vlogging tripod, and I bought it, and it's not very expensive, and I'll try to put a picture of it up there for any of you who are interested in it. But what it does is you can hold it like up this, like a stick. You can extend it out as a selfie stick. You can stand it on a table. You can extend it. And you can do it really, really quick. Like, it doesn't take long to change it from one thing to another. So like when he's in the mountains hiking, he can literally go from here to here to here and have different views. I'm not saying that I'm a great reseller, but I think I'm kind of similar to other people, that you may have the same issues going on in your life. And I've had people ask me, Beth, how do you do this with a job, with caregiving? And I want to show you guys what my typical days are. Every day is freaking different, okay? The one thing I don't like about vlogging when I've done it before is I don't really feel like it's very genuine, because there are times I don't vlog things because I don't want to be talking in the dining room, because my wife is right there in the living room and she can hear me, and it's hard for me to talk. Like right now, she told me I could leave the door open for Callie, but I'm like, no, I don't want you to hear me. She goes, I'm not listening. It doesn't matter. And so I don't really feel like I've been really seriously vlogging. So I want to do that. She's told me it doesn't bother her. Right now when I'm doing my reels while I'm taking video, I just say, you may hear me talking in here to myself while I'm doing reels. And she's like, no problem, I'm not listening anyway. So I really want to do some serious vlogging so that, you can see how I do it. But I want to do it for me, because I want to see how I'm doing it now, and then later on how I'm doing it then. Have I changed anything? I still sometimes, when I'm very bored, which is rare, have gone back to some of my older videos of my inventory room, like when I first started, just to see how far I've come. Like, it makes you feel accomplished. Well, sometimes it doesn't make you feel accomplished, but most of the time it makes me feel accomplished, or I'm like, why did I used to do it that way, but I don't do it that way now? There's got to be a reason. Or maybe I was just experimenting and I forgot to go back. Maybe I should go back to doing it that way. So it is much for me as it is for you. I've also had some requests to do videos that are more basic, like how to create coupons. I create private and public coupons, how I use them, some issues that I've run in with them. So I may start doing more basic videos for people who are starting out or people who just haven't used those features. I want to do a Sunday night shipping live stream, but every Sunday night I am so exhausted, and I'm thinking, no, I don't want to do that. That's the other reason. And I don't think I've talked about this. My shipping process now takes about 30% longer, okay? Because I've chosen to open every single bag that was bagged before May and put a hang tag on it. So that involves throwing the bag away and the label, creating a new label, putting the hang tag in, refolding it, putting it in the bag, putting the label on it, and then putting the business card and the emery board. Okay, that takes a lot of time. Now there's some items that I've listed since May. I can skip those. Men's clothing, I can skip. Parts, I can skip. But if I've got a lot of items that I'm selling that were listed before May, typically on a Sunday night, I have anywhere from 12 to 24 items. Sometimes it takes long, and I can't do that realistically, logistically, before I sit down to do my live stream. I mean, it would take me about an hour, and I don't have an hour. So instead of starting shipping at 9 now, depending on how many I have to ship, I've been starting as early as 8 o'clock, just because I want to make sure all that's done, and I do it in a certain order so that I don't forget. And it's been a lot, but you know, I had to do it. So anyway, it's wasting plastic bags, and it's wasting labels, and I know that, but it's just necessary right now for me. So anyway, anything else that you'd like to know on this, you'd like for me to do on this channel, thank you for the recommendation about the coupons, any other kind of videos, and I'd like to stay away from Poshmark though, because of my feelings about it right now. So anyway, guys, I hope that you have a wonderful weekend. This will be uploaded on Saturday. So I don't know when the next time I will see you guys again. So have a wonderful weekend. Remember, we are all in this business boat together. So paddle on, and may God keep you in his pocket. Bye.